think it's so important for young people to understand that you should go toward the trials and the tribulations and the hard times because that is what's going to make you stronger.
What do you see as like one of the largest issues that my generation and society today faces?
I think that your generation is reaping the sad results of what people of my generation, a little bit older, did, and they have tried to coddle you too much. They have tried to make you risk averse. The participation trophy culture has really hurt your generation. Believing that you can be given something for not doing anything, that is a means by which your self-esteem is going to be, massaged and taken care of. You know, we have a saying in the military is that you move to the sound of the guns. And I think it's so important for young people to understand that you should go toward the trials and the tribulations and the hard times because that is what's going to make you stronger. That's going to test your inner character, your intestinal fortitude. We shared last night about, what is a diamond in the beginning? It's really a lump of coal. It's just a rock. But when you take it through intense pressure and heat, then you get this precious thing that later on in life you'll understand that women really love it. I think Marilyn Monroe said diamonds are a girl's best friends. But if you tried to give a young lady a black rock, they're going to look at you sideways. But then all of a sudden, if you come back after that thing has gone through intense pressure and heat, and you present her with that jewel, she'll love you forever. I think that we all need to look and understand is that we are all, diamonds in the rough, and we can only be refined through going through, the crucible to try and test us. And as my mother would say, the measure of a man is not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get back up. And I want your generation to understand it's okay to get knocked down. In business, it's okay to go out there and maybe have one or two failures. You go back and you look at the history of President Harry Truman. He had multiple failures. But then the next thing you know, he gets to Congress. The next thing you know, he becomes the vice president. The next thing you know, he becomes the president. And as a leader, he made some really tough decisions that put us on the path to where we are today in the United States of America.
Definitely. In regards to opinions of others and, I guess, how we operate our lives based on that, what message would you have to someone who's, I guess, worried about other people's thoughts and opinions towards them?
You shouldn't be. If people are presenting you opinions and not facts, you should not be concerned about that, because opinions are emotional based. But if someone is giving you factual information, that means that they're trying to have an intellectual exchange for you, and you can learn from that. But if you are living your life being concerned about what others are saying for you or about you, you're going to lose out on the incredible blessings, and you're going to find yourself living your life to please other people than to really please yourself. So I would tell you that you don't worry about that, but you find out the people that love you and care about you that are willing to give you the constructive criticism to help you to grow and to mature. And again, that's the difference between a leader or a statesman and a politician, because the politician is going to come out and tell people what they think they want to hear. Okay?
Definitely.
Instead, a leader or a statesman is going to tell you what you need to hear. And sometimes, that leader or statesman may come along and say those things that you need to hear, and the people will reject it. But the important thing is that at the end of the day, that leader, that statesman could look at themselves in the mirror and say, hey, I did what was right by the people, by others. If they didn't want to accept the truth, they didn't want to accept the facts, they didn't want to accept, that maybe these are some tough things we have to go through or tough decisions that I've made, that's really on them. But if you go out and you're, cajoling, manipulating, deceiving people, lying to people, just so that they can, be your buddy, your friend, or your pal, or if people are trying to do the exact same thing to you, then you should reject that. I grew up back in the day when you go to the Kroger grocery store, they used to have the lobsters in, a big old barrel or crabs or whatever. And you could, tell the guy you wanted this when he reached down and get it and pull it out. But what was interesting is my mom, when we go to the grocery store, she say, look in there. She say, you see what's going on? There's one crab or lobster trying to climb up to the top. But then there's another one that jumps on its back to try to climb up to the top and ends up pulling them back down. She said, life is all about avoiding the crabs in the barrel, because you don't want to have people that try to jump on your back to pull you back down as they try to elevate themselves. So don't listen to the opinions of others if it is not something that's going to help you grow yourself.
I definitely agree. And in regards to people living for the moment and focusing more on short term, yesterday you had mentioned about, was it the Dow Jones indices, or the 24 hours is the future?
The futures, yeah.
The futures, yeah. And it's just so ironic how, other countries and other people's definitions of long term is years versus, I guess.
No, it's decades.
Decades.
Yeah.
And people, I guess, today often correlate short-term success with a means to an end. It's a happiness for them. But ironically, when they focus on opinions of others and, I guess, try to cheat the way to happiness, it ends up leading to long-term, I guess, misery.
It does. And it'll be just the same. I'm a big college football nut. And so if you're ahead of a game at the end of the first quarter, 21-0, do you start celebrating everything and leave the field? No.
No.
You got 3 more quarters to go. And everyone will tell you that you play until that thing says all zeros at the end. And so too often that we just play for the first quarter, and we think that we've gotten ahead, and we just get complacent. And as we say in the military, we lay up sorry, but not realizing there's a second, third, fourth quarter that continues on. And that's how we have to look at life. Life is not about the next 24, 48 hours. It's about how you live it well. And I think that that's what we have to look at. And so when we're up against, when we talk about foreign policy and global strategy, when you're up against people that think in 30, 40, 50-year increments, and you're just thinking about, the next 48 hours, or maybe the next 2 years, you're going to lose every time, because they have a vision, and we just have immediate gratification. And so I would say, again, to not just the young people, but to our nation, we got to stop thinking in immediate gratification. Life is not a fast food lane at McDonald's.